doing selection today. So we first want to start with that we recognize and respect that New Westminster is on the unceded, unsurrendered lands of the Algonquin-speaking peoples. We acknowledge that colonialism has made invisible their histories and connections to the land. As a city, we are learning and building relationships with the people whose lands we are on. We also have 2 new board members today. Tasha Henderson as our council representative. Welcome. Happy to have you here. And Kelsey Wall as the council, I don't know, council chosen?
Or appointee. Appointee, that's the right word.
Council appointee.
The chosen one.
For our community. And so we've not had that person for, I think, about a year. So we're really grateful to have you here at the table.
Happy to be here.
So we'll do a round of introductions. So I can start with Heather Boersma. I'm one of the board members and I'm chairing until we elect a chair.
So you're the longest serving board.
Yeah. Where's you?
My name is Jacqueline Daring and I work in finance as the finance manager here at the police department. And that's what we've met.
I'm Daisy Daya. I'm the police board secretary.
I'm Mary Trentadue. I'm a police board member.
I'm Kelsey Wall, and I'm a new police board member.
Welcome. I'm Drew Hart. I'm a police board member and I've been here second longest. Patrick and I are both the same.
My name is Andrew Perry and I'm currently the acting deputy chief of our operations support bureau. It's very new, so I'm trying to remember what I'm responsible for right now. So, but yes, thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Tasha Henderson, city councilor, appointed, appointment from council. Delighted to be here. Excited to work with again, 2 of you. Thanks for loaning her to us last year. Such incredible work that she did for us. So, anyways, happy to be here.
I'm Sarah Patterson. I'm the new human resources manager here at the police department. And welcome to everyone here. I'm in week 3, so.
Very excited to have her here.
Yes.
So.
Andrew from also first board member. He's 1 year over.
Haley Finnegan, strategic communications.
Board acting deputy chief on the other side of operations. So yeah, happy to be here. Patrick Malone, board member for about 2 years now.
Thank you. Well, our next item was actually to introduce you as the new HR manager, but I don't know if you want to give a bit of background where you came from so we can kind of better
Yeah,
understand.
absolutely. That'd be great if Sarah could do that. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes. So good morning, everyone. It's nice to meet all of you. So yes, again, Sarah Patterson, and I have my Bachelor of Business Administration from Simon Fraser University. I actually grew up in the Lower Mainland. I'm from Port Coquitlam, went to Riverside Secondary, and started my HR career working for KPMG in Vancouver, and that was predominantly in recruitment. And the bulk of my career has been in the city of Vernon and in their HR department. I joined as the specialist of talent acquisition and retention. So I led the TA&R department, and from there took a real keen interest in other areas of HR, including labor relations. Had the opportunity to sit on both labor management committees for the QP and IAFF unions on behalf of the employer, and participated in collective bargaining for both of those unions, again on behalf of the employer. And my most recent position with the city of Vernon prior to leaving was the director of human resources. And so I led a team of 12 within the HR team there. Yes, and like I mentioned, week 3 here, and very happy to be here. I've been very welcomed, and yeah, looking forward to getting more into things.
Welcome. Happy to have you.
And you don't currently live in Vernon?
No, I'm not doing that long commute.
Yeah.
No, I relocated back.
Excellent. Okay.
And now to the selection of the new board chair and vice chair. This is new for all of us. You might not be aware, but up until recently, our mayor was the mandated chair, and some of the legislation has changed. So we're doing our first selection in the history of the police board. So I guess we'll open it up to anyone who wants to nominate someone and for chair, and and then see where and then we'll do vice chair after that.
I would nominate Heather as the chair of the board. Do you second that, Alejandro?
I would nominate Tasha.
Great, now we have a war. We need a seconder for that?
Also.
Okay.
I guess
Any
the
other
question to the
nominations?
nominees, will the nominees stand?
Yeah, I mean, I'm new here. So I don't know what this process looks like. Thanks for the nomination, and yeah, I don't know, I defer maybe to Heather on what you want to do.
I mean, as you can see, running in with a baby, I'm not so sure chair is the right role for me right now. Yeah, so that's kind of where I stand a little bit, is I'm going back to work in October, and maybe, I'm gonna continue with the police board, but I don't know if chair is, I don't know if I have capacity for it right now.
I think that having some of your experience is great, but I think that it's also very good that you are saying that what is the challenges. So I think that it would be great if you are vice chair, and then you can support Tara and Tasha with all those decisions.
Over here.
How long is this position for? Is it 2 years?
And we could make it shorter,
It's up to
I
us
thought
to
we
decide.
maybe do 1 year and just trial it
Yeah.
too, like, yeah, it's maximum 2 years, but we
Yeah.
could do shorter if we want.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I nominated you, Heather, is because of the knowledge, the knowledge of the department and the connections with all of the senior management. But I completely appreciate that it could be too much for you, especially going back to work. And I'm not opposed to Tasha, you being the chair either, but I also I just want to make sure that you have an opportunity to learn the role. And sometimes being the chair, you spend a lot of time managing the discussion and the table and less having an opportunity to ask questions and have an opinion and debate and all of those things as the chair, because you're more spent managing the role. But, I'm not opposed to either way. I just don't want someone to be in an awkward position where they're having to try to do both, but also having to learn at the same time. I don't know if Patrick or Drew or Kelsey, you have any other things you have concerns about or comments about?
Well, I mean, part of the role is the connection to city council and the mayor's office as well, and I think Tasha's well placed to handle that portion of things. And I respect, not having the time. That's very honest of you. Yeah, I would be in favor of, that's why I second the motion, Tasha.
Just to throw this out there and being completely new on the board, I know that with the legislative changes, some of the intent was to sort of preserve a bit of distance between the police board and city council. And so I wonder if, and Tasha, nothing to you at all, but I wonder if putting the council representative in the chair role sort of perpetuates this, almost the same thing that we were doing with having the mayor in the chair role. But just a question for the board.
That's a fair point.
I think it's a fair point. I think it's more separate because it's not the chair of both bodies. Whereas the mayor was the chair of both council and police board. I think there still is that potential opportunity for conflict, but I think that's also part of the rationale of mandating a vice chair as well, which is also new in the legislation.
Yeah, just for your information, boards could have vice chairs up until now, but we did.
We did.
Okay.
I guess to circle back, Heather, are you suggesting you don't want the nomination?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't really need to debate you any longer. You're out. Does anyone else have any comments that Tasha, how do you feel about that based on what people have said?
I feel, well, I do feel that sometimes the opportunity for the chair, like, in terms of boards that I've been on or at council, the person chairing the meeting isn't as involved in the conversation, and that might actually be helpful for me as I'm learning to be facilitating the conversation of those of you who have much more knowledge and expertise. So that actually could be a good spot for me.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
probably don't have as much to contribute as Kate.
Okay.
So I'm happy to take it on unless there are other folks who wanna. Oh, no. I don't feel like I'm in a position to start nominating folks. I don't know you well enough, but
Calling the vote?
Yeah.
Sure.
Call the vote. So we're gonna vote on the half and all in favor of Tasha being the chair. Okay, looks like we have a full board.
Cool.
Okay, now.
We did it!
And now on to the nomination and selection of the vice chair.
Well, I will nominate Heather to provide that experience and support and insight. If you think that's something you can manage, Heather.
I think if that's something I could manage, and I mean, I can always say it's too much at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Alejandro.
Nomination. Oh, should we call the vote? Okay, no other nomination?
I will move that Heather Boersma become the vice chair of the New West Police Board.
A seconder?
Second.
Okay, and then all in favor?
Done.
Done. I guess I'm having a co-chair.
Welcome.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for that. Thanks Heather for being a delightful interim chair.
Roger just called.
Excellent. Where was the deal?
He's just in the alley.
Okay, so we are looking to move the adoption of the open agenda. Can I have
So
some
moved.
second? All in favor? All opposed? Carried. Awesome. So I'm not sure how consent works here. Do we vote in it as a block unless someone moves to remove?
Yeah.
Same as council.
Okay, so do we have anyone who wants to pull anything off?
2.5D.
Can you pull 2.5D or just 2.5? Is it all 2.5?
Actually, the numbering's kind of weird, actually. It's correspondence D.
Okay, so we're not.
Oh, sorry, it should be 2.6. Sorry, I missed the letter there.
Okay, not 2.5.
No, 2.6, I apologize.
Kelsey?
Could I please move 2.5 off the consent agenda?
That's mine as well.
Okay, so I have 2.5 and 2.6. E. Hold, can I have is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? As
So moved.
second? All in favor? All opposed? Awesome. Okay, so that brings us to 2.5 on consent. Kelsey, you pulled that. Do you want to start?
Yeah, I just was hoping to get a little further background about this. Specifically, like I understand that this is being amended to align with the new standards, the provincial standards. And reading through the provincial standards, I understand that those are sort of the minimum standard that everybody is asked, all police departments are asked to sort of adhere to. So I just wanted to understand the policy development process for this specific policy, and understand whether this really reflects the best practices for community care above and beyond what the province is sort of asking of us.
Yeah. So good questions, first of all. I also am new to this side of the house again, so I've also recently been going through it. One of the biggest things I think you should be aware of when you do see the actual policy is that you're just seeing the policy statement. You are not seeing the procedures. So the actual policy and procedures document is 21 pages in length, and there are additional, obviously, procedures that are captured within that are much more specific, such as employing trauma-informed practices, you know, et cetera. So this was to, number one, was to align our policy and procedures with the provincial standards that basically came into effect July 5th this year. As well as to update some terms with our current practices, change some processes in regards to supervisor review as well, because years ago we didn't actually have a designated supervisor for that unit, which we do now, as well as updating some other procedures. So I think if you're looking for more details than that, I can just definitely provide you with a copy of that policy to see, and then you can see. But our goal is to obviously adhere to best practices, and a lot of these things we years ago, such as employing a sex assault review committee, having a sex assault checklist that was for the investigators, as well as one for the supervisors doing the review. We've been doing that since at least 2019. The reason why I say that is in 2019, I was responsible for creating those procedures, as well as being part of the committee to review every case with the other team members. And I know from the conversation that led up to some of these centers that we were deeply involved in that, a lot of the things that we were doing were actually adopted or consistent with the current policy. So, but I can definitely, if that's helpful, I can send you a copy of the policy maybe after so you can see it. Then you can actually see those details if you have specific questions or concerns, and you'll be able to see where we're at from a best practice. But I do believe we are adhering to best practices from everything that I'm aware of. And we've been striving to do that for many years before this policy was in place. So
that's great. And then just, sorry, one more question, if
Yeah.
I may. In parallel with the policy changes, are you taking another look at the process handbook, or is that?
Sorry.
You said that there's processes that
The
are.
procedures, that was all part of this, yes, because
Okay.
I did review all 21 pages just recently and made some recommendations to the proposed changes as well. It is 21 pages and there's a lot of detail in there, so I don't want to at the same time claim I have know it inside and out.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks, Andrew, for those responses. My largest or biggest question is about the change of language in 1. And I guess I just want to understand the difference between, for example, investigation, except for investigation, I'm assuming it's of all complaints, versus investigate all reports. What's the difference between a complaint and a report? And does that impact the person that is making that complaint or that report?
I would suggest without getting it, I believe they're both one and the same. We investigate all reports, complaints.
Yeah.
So that's the bottom line. We do not exclude or not investigate any sex offense.
Okay.
Into whether it's a third party report,
Yeah.
or an initial complaint from a person who is a victim, or or in the case of child sex offenses, right? Maybe it's a parent of a victim.
Yeah.
We investigate them all. They are treated seriously.
Okay.
We've been doing that for many years, so yes.
Okay, so there isn't a difference, but if someone just calls and says, I want to make a complaint about someone, is a complaint the same as a report, or does the report become more official?
Number one, we document every complaint or report to us.
Okay.
It's not acceptable to not document if someone makes a complaint.
Yeah.
I think where there would be some considerations, for example, if the sex assault happens within an intimate partner situation,
Yeah.
then we're mandated to keep going, right? The discretion is removed from the person complaining.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's not within that situation, then there is a potential where the complainants or the victim's consideration would be considered. So
Okay,
it just depends on that analysis, where does that lie?
okay.
So, but all of them are treated very seriously.
What's the
Okay.
difference between a complaint
Can
and
I,
a report?
Drew, can I just finish? Sorry, can I just finish?
Yeah.
And then I wanted to understand the difference between, sexual assault and sexual offenses, because you haven't got, sexual assault is not in the original statement, but it's added to the second revamping of the statement. So I just wanted to understand, is there the differences between that?
Yes, sex assault is a specific section of the criminal code. Other
Yeah.
sex offenses, such as, it's eluding to me right now, the example, but, anyone else?
I was just saying, sexual assault is specific. And
Yeah.
other sexual offenses can be anything in relation to that.
Child pornography.
Yeah,
That would be a sexual
That is
offense.
a sex offense, yes, absolutely, yeah.
Okay,
This is more inclusive of all sexual.
so this is
Yeah.
broadening
Yes.
the scope as opposed to it being narrow and just sexual assault.
Yes.
Correct,
Okay.
yeah. Like, for example, our specialized investigation unit that has a specialized sex offense investigator will deal with all sorts of sex offenses, not just the offense of sex assault.
Yeah.
And that's what goes, that's the entire department will deal with that. Just
Yeah.
depends on the severity, complexity, on who's the best unit to investigate that matter at that time.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you. I don't mean to be like digging away at it, but I appreciate that how the department handles things sort of via culture. But in a policy, I guess I want to make sure that it's super clear what we are doing and that we aren't narrowing
No,
the work that we do around sexual assault
Not at
versus
all.
broadening the
Not
scope.
at
So,
that
okay,
has been the practice for as many years.
Yeah.
That I've been involved with it. And as I said, I was intimately involved with it back in 2019.
okay,
Even back then, we would investigate every sex offense that came
Okay.
to us. There was no, this doesn't qualify or this doesn't whatever.
Yeah.
Even, for example, if the offense technically has not happened here, we still take the report and we will deal with that in liaising with the other agencies investigator, right? It's not like, well, it didn't happen here, please go somewhere.
we don't care.
We don't do that. That's not best practices, right?
Okay,
So,
okay.
yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm done, Tasha. Thanks.
Drew, did you have a follow-up?
No, I'm good.
Just quickly, for me, language obviously matters, and complaint has a negative connotation, I would say. Report is more positive, and so I am totally in favor of that language saying report instead of complaint.
Yes, thank you. I agree. I have heard that consideration before, so yes, I agree with what you said. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you, Tasha.
So I'll move it. I'll move receive or,
I think it's just received.
yeah, I'll move it.
And
Second.
Favor, opposed. 2.6 correspondence.
Yeah, I just wanted to pull the ecom one because there's a fair bit of work that the board needs to do related to it, or at least they're based on their requests in terms of reviewing their proposed structure, what our approval process is going to be and how we report back to them on that. And just wanted to have a bit of a conversation of how we envision doing that, because we're supposed to provide feedback essentially on their giant report by the fall. And we don't really have a structure to do that. I don't know if we want a committee to look at that or how we want to proceed with that, but there is some work that we need to do as a body.
Yeah, I support making a committee because I think sitting down as the whole board, it would be difficult to kind of do it. So if there's a couple, 2 or 3 interested board members get together and provide it. I do think it's key to provide it because we can't just complain.
Yeah.
For those that aren't on the board, econ has submissions, so we complain a lot. We have, then when we're asked to engage, then we have.
We have to, exactly.
Yeah, just to report out, I attended the Ecom AGM and then the first directors meeting. And the package was about 300 pages. It was a ton of review. So I'm really just getting up to speed, and the governance thing is hitting fast. They're really hoping for feedback and changes by the fall. So I've already started gathering some information that I think will be useful to the board without overwhelming the board, and especially our new board members, with sort of trying to get up to speed on e-com quickly so that we can make some realistic and helpful comments back to them. But I do think a committee would be useful. I certainly don't think I should be the one managing it all on my own. So I think that would be a great thing to do, because the governance piece is going to be quite significant. And sort of, I do agree that the governance at e-com is a disaster, but not a disaster. I guess that's very strongly worded, but it's not working. It's not working for the association. It's not working for the stakeholders, and it hasn't for a long time. So I am very supportive in doing this work. I would love to have some help, and we will have to have some e-com heavy discussions. I don't know when, because we don't meet in August, or we were planning to, but we've already loaded up a potential agenda for August. So early September, we will have to have some of that on the table.
So does someone want to move striking a committee for governance review? Heather?
Second.
Do we want to, before we approve or vote on that, want to talk about like numbers of that committee, or who might be interested in that committee, and then we can just approve it as. Mary, it sounds like you have.
I would like to be on the committee just because it will help the work that I will have to do to inform this board and the other stakeholders that I represent. So
I don't know if you're aware, but she's on the board.
I am the rep on the econ board, just new, brand new. But I've been there before. So it's not all new.
Are there other interested board members?
Yeah, I'm happy to go through that as well. There's some significant proposed changes.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to do that. I think it might be useful as well to have a staff member.
Yeah, I don't know. Andrew, have you been the person mostly involved with
Yeah,
econ?
it has been me. I'd be happy to help out, yeah.
Okay.
Does that seem like enough? It's a small group. I don't know how.
Kelsey, how do you feel about it? Or is it too much to load on you right now?
If you think that it would be useful to have like maybe an outside perspective, like somebody who doesn't know it intimately, then I'd be happy to participate.
I don't think any of us know it.
No, yeah, less intimately than you. Yeah, I mean, I did take a read through, but with very little context.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to participate, but if 3 is a better number to manage, then that's also fine. from my
Anybody else?
perspective.
Alejandro, do you have any interest? Patrick, either of you? No, no, thank you.
I think it's better to try to keep it a
Smaller,
little bit.
Yes, of
Sometimes
course.
It's hard to find
Yeah.
time
Time,
otherwise, the
yeah.
bigger it gets, the harder it's time for everyone.
I think 3 would be great, plus a
Yeah.
staff
I think 3
person.
would be
Yeah.
good, yeah.
3 plus staff.
Yeah,
So we have Mary, Drew, Kelsey, and Andrew.
Perfect.
sure.
Is it, like, how formal is it? Andrew or they?
No, Andrew's totally fine, yeah. I
Acting
prefer-
deputy.
No.
Yeah.
And Jacqueline, I might
That's
also
fine.
want to have a
Okay.
I can't even
meeting
remember my
okay.
title right
Is that
now.
okay?
So,
I'm actually going to be home on Thursday
Okay.
for finance meeting.
So maybe we can also chat about that.
Okay, so so we can amend that motion to, someone amend it, well, I guess, okay, so we are striking a committee for the econ governance review, and I guess scheduling would fall to Izzy. Okay, and,
So moved.
all in favor? It was second, I'll do this move a second.
Great.
And opposed? Good, awesome, thank you all for volunteering and being possible to take on that. Ongoing business, strategic plan update.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. In regards to these updates, I flagged a few, the key ones for your awareness. So obviously the patrol division operations study, the request for proposals closed last week, and we have 5 submissions for that. So we'll have to undertake an evaluation of that, which that's why I sent an email in advance, just to flag that for your awareness, because that will also be a time consideration for whoever would like to participate. We do need to have that done by September 5th. The second part, obviously, we've fulfilled our human resource manager position, so we're very happy about that. The last 2, the acting chief, Paul Highland, asked me to present these just for your awareness at this point in time, potential discussion that we can always revisit another time, but we would like to add 2 new proposed priorities to our strategic plan, based on the discussions that we've been having recently with the board. So we've flagged these 2 proposed priorities as a placeholder so that we can hopefully discuss it and have it added formally to the strategic plan. First one is to identify and implement an approach to police staffing levels and allocation. I believe this also relates to the RFP for the patrol division and other discussions that we've been having along with our budget. The second one is to gradually assume funding of the gang suppression unit from the province of BC by 2028. So just flag that for your consideration. If anyone else has any questions or anything to say at this point in time.
I agree with these, I just don't think they're worded. I would like, in order to kind of come up, I can propose some new wording, but I need to see the strategic plan to kind of see how they are.
Absolutely, yep,
Because like,
yep.
gradually assume funding of gang suppression is not really a strategic plan, it's an issue.
Yeah.
You know, so I think we need to like look at how we embed these
Yeah.
into the strategic plan.
We did discuss whether or not that also dovetails maybe into the approach to police staffing levels, right? Because that is what it will come down to, increasing police staff levels by assuming that. But yes, absolutely, I can send that to you if you like. So I do have that readily available. So yeah.
I'd be interested in being involved in reviewing the RFP submissions.
Okay.
Drew, I also saw that
Yeah.
that you were interested.
Yeah, I'm happy to, not too many bodies though, but.
Yeah, well, I think if the 2, I mean,
Yeah.
governance of all things, Drew. No, that would be great. And,
So both of yourselves would like to participate? Yeah.
Happy to if you want to.
All right, I'll send you guys the info afterwards. So yeah, thank you.
is there anything else on item 1? Mary?
I just have a couple of other questions about items. So Andrew, is that okay if you don't have the answers? Maybe they can be brought back.
Absolutely, yeah.
But the first one is on community engagement.
Okay.
And I see that this is under Paul, so I don't know if you have a response. Or Haley, maybe you can respond too, but I guess the 2024-26 Community Comms and Engagement Plan is on hold. And I wanted to get a sense of like, why is it on hold and what is needed for it to be actually able to be processed, move forward?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. We were just discussing that same thing actually when we were reviewing these.
So the survey that we did that was done by Ipsos.
Yep.
The questions came from the federal government. So while it identified gaps in knowledge among some of the community members about how police operations works, I think our engagement plan would be better done if we reached out to our colleagues in the city in communication and public engagement, or some opportunities to listen to the public, because with the survey, you're limited to answering the questions that are asked. And based off of those, maybe listening sessions or whatever best practices the community engagement team recommends, I think then we'll be in a better position to write our own plan.
Okay, and so do you think at perhaps our September meeting, you might be able to report back on timing for when that whole program might be rolled out? Yeah, okay, that'd be great. And I just have 2 other questions, if I may. CPC, I don't know, remember where this is now in the doc, but it's somewhere in here. Is it 5, priority 5?
Yeah.
Thank you. My question is, who's on the CPC and how are they nominated to be on the CPC? And I guess I hadn't really heard about it before, so I just wanted to gain a better understanding of it, how it works and who's on it and how do people get their to sit at that table?
My question too, what is it?
What is it?
I cannot answer that one at this point in time. for you,
Okay.
So I'll have to.
If we
look
can
into
bring that
yeah,
back,
yeah.
that would be
It's
super
new to
helpful.
me again, just being on that.
Yeah, of
That's-
course. No,
yeah,
that's
thank
totally
you.
fine.
Yeah.
And then the last question I have is on the diversity, equity, inclusion, and anti-racism. That is also on hold.
Yeah.
And oh, that's yours.
Yes,
So you can answer that.
I am aware of that one, yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
So basically what you're asking, I'm assuming, is why it's on hold.
Why is it
correct?
on hold?
Yeah. So what I've learned is that, as you're probably aware, the New Westminster Police Department participated with the city in the DEER surveying process. My understanding is that the consultant proposed a training program after that, and it went to the city. It was then reviewed, sent back for feedback. It's now in its third reiteration right now, being sent back to the city. So we recently, that's the most recent update,
Okay.
was I believe it's just the beginning of July or end of June, where the acting chief Valheim went and sat in on the presentation from the consultant on what they're recommending from a training standpoint. So the delay has been this feedback and back and forth
Okay.
on the training program. And we're at a third stage. We'll wait to see whether or not it's going to be finalized and then
Okay.
a plan rolled out from there.
So-
That's what's accounting for the delay.
So we can get some timing on this again, once
Yes.
you get more information.
We'll know once whether or not the proposed training plan is going to be approved and adopted,
Okay.
or if there's going to be some further feedback for recommendations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I'm assuming Sarah will be looped into all of this work as well.
I would
This will
love
be
to do that.
pretty crucial to your work, right? Like, you mean you're gonna drop it and let Sarah do it? Is that what you're saying?
I didn't realize that's how we term delegation, but.
It's kind of the same thing. Okay, that's perfect.
I will
Thank
be
you.
doing some other things.
Thank you. And Tasha, I'm sorry, one last thing back to Haley is that survey. Can we make sure that our new board members have that survey so they don't have to go digging for it, that they can read the results to it? Because I think that would be helpful in our communication conversation. That's it. That's all I have on this one. Thanks.
Just to confirm, it's the community engagement survey you're
Yeah.
asking about? Okay.
The results of that one.
So, and apologies, I don't know if it's the appropriate time to ask this question, but just some background that would be helpful for me. I think in reading the strat plan, my understanding was that the operations survey or the study that we're undertaking was intended to be completed sort of in the first year of the strategic plan. So I was just hoping to understand why it's happening now. I'm sure there's a great reason that I don't know.
Yeah, would one of the board members like to address
Sure,
that?
sure, I can start. So there was an RFP and a consultant that was engaged 2 years ago, I want to say. The product of that work was not satisfactory and not entirely useful.
Okay.
So we terminated that contract right at the end of it, pretty much. And refocused that work to a more focused review of just the operations unit.
Yeah, just starting with patrol division, with
Yeah,
hopefully
patrol, sorry.
in the future to move into other divisions, but just start with patrol,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, so
Yeah, it was a review of the entire department,
Yeah.
leadership, every department. We decided to
focus it
Focus
down.
it.
And
Okay.
hopefully end up with a more useful product at the end of that. So,
Great, that's
Yeah.
very helpful context, thank you. And then one other thing that I just wanted to ask, if the new board members could have access to is the employee wellness survey
Oh,
that I
yeah.
believe you discussed.
That's a very good
last-
one.
Okay,
mhm.
thanks very much.
Going my question then, Haley, do you have that connection already with the engagement team at the city? That's every week. Okay, excellent. Okay, they already understand that that's a thing that's happening. Okay. Okay, so can I have moved to receive the correspondence?
So moved.
Second, favor, opposed, carried. Awesome. Oh, sorry, that is not, I've got the correspondence, that was the strategic plan updates. Yes.
Just without getting into the Ecom Spectrum report for the board, if you've reviewed it and you've seen the Spectrum report for this month, it's actually a quarterly statistics versus monthly. So you're gonna see a difference in that. So I've asked them for the specific month of June, but obviously that's gonna skew the stats in a different direction because it's typically bid per month. So when you see that, just keep that in mind. And as I said, I have asked for June and I will do another quarterly update in the future about the Spectrum report. Thank you, Tasha.
moving right along to 3.2. Okay. Star of the show.
3.2, I believe this has been answered. We were a little unclear whether or not this matter had been dealt with in the last police board meeting, but we did receive some correspondence from Chief Jansen that we reviewed later in the week. I saw that this appears to have been resolved in that there were recommendations that were sent around to the board regarding roles, responsibilities, and the honorarium amounts for the board, for the chair and vice chair. And the Chief Jansen at the time asked for some feedback. There was no feedback. I believe it was addressed last time and it was approved to be adopted into the governance manual. Please correct me if I'm wrong, and if so, I can hit on some of those changes, but I believe that was done and sent in advance and already done, so I apologize for the
I think the only change, the only thing that stuck out for me was I think the appointment language that's under the vice chair should be somewhat mirrored under the chair. Because I think we added right now, just that the board chair is elected by board members from amongst themselves for a 2-year term, may be appointed for additional consecutive terms. And then under the vice chair, there's some language around board members must self-identify, blah, blah, blah. If only one board member, that language should just be mirrored under the chair.
So mirror the vice chair language and the chair language.
Yeah, like the second.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can do that, yeah.
I think that was the only change that we talked about that I didn't see reflected.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there an action? My document's not working here at the end of that. We need to.
I don't think there's any action.
Okay, there's just updates. All right, I think that's it for the open meeting. Okay, so guys, someone move to adjourn.
So moved.